And welcome to the recap from today's live stream. I go live every Wednesday at noon here in California. And today I was working on fabric clusters, and I have always got lots of scraps of fabric and lace and fibers. And so I just kind of started off with some bases and just piling up color families. It's not an exact science. It's just playing with what I like together. And I start with my background, and I almost always have to tackle it with my seam ripper because I don't want those straight edges. I want things that look a little uneven. I want it to look like the fairies were running through the forest and their clothes got caught on branches and trees and ripped off, and well, not ripped off completely, but you know, they got torn and worn. And I want something that looks like maybe it just fell off out there in nature and has been left there for some period of time. A lot of people get confused or frustrated when they're making clusters, and so I try to think of some tips I can give you. And one is have a lot of things to play with. If you don't like the first thing, then you can try something else. The second thing would be to don't think that anything has to be thrown away. I use the seam edges, you know, where something's got like the serge seam edges. I use my last little bits of thread. I use lace that looks like it would be the bits that you would toss off into the garbage can because they're so tiny, but it doesn't take much to make a difference when you're layering things up. And layering is the most important thing of a cluster. Whether you're working with fabric or paper, the more layers you have on something, the more interesting it's going to get. So you'll see me, I ended up doing 3 of them today, and you'll see me auditioning different things. Again, taking the seam ripper to the edges of the lace because I don't want those straight edges. I want to layer things so they're all touching, and that does make it sometimes a little bit tricky trying to get everything sewn together. Here's some acrylic yarn. That works really well if you don't have any wool roving. You can take some acrylic yarn and pull it apart, and you're going to get something very similar to wool roving. And then that's some jute string that I've got, and I really like pulling that apart and getting like the little fuzzy bits to put on top. The other thing about clusters is they're never really completely done if you don't want them to be. Somebody asked me if I was going to put beads or buttons on them, and I might, but often what I'm doing here is just trying to get a base cluster, and then down the road, if I decide it's going to go into a Just Because book, or it's going to go on a larger piece of art or a wall hanging, then I'll decide if I need to add some beads or a button or a stick or all of the above. You never know. Me and my threads, got to save all those little bits of threads because they just add that other little bit of texture. And I just keep playing with it. That's all it is. And we didn't have any really deep conversations in today's live. I had to cut it short because the electrician was coming finally after many months of waiting to do some repair work around here. And so we didn't really talk a lot about anything deep. But what I want to talk about is being willing to make a mess, being willing to goof up. The last cluster that I work on is one of the ones, we took one of the ones that I'd done ages ago and I found in a pile of scraps, and it wasn't that pretty. It wasn't very well, it wasn't anything. It was just a little something, and it had all these square edges, and you'll see how I took it and said, okay, it's not done yet. I don't like it yet. If I don't like it yet, then it's not done. And I'm playing with the blue ones now, and again the seam ripper. And I think that's something that we all have to think about. You'll see me show you that little piece here in a minute. We need to think about the fact that maybe it's not done yet, and it's okay to take something that we thought was done and attack it again. Now I can take these clusters that I have now, and they fit in the palm of my hand, but I could pile them on top of some more lace and some more fabric and build them up until they were 5 inches across or 7 inches across or 8 inches across. It's a building block, just like the make-aheads. I've got some old videos about ephemera, paper ephemera that you can make up ahead of time. The clusters are a make-ahead for me. I like to have them in different stages. Some of them will just have the fabric pieces together. Some of them might be a little bit larger, but they don't have any finishing beads or sticks on them. It's just all about playing and having fun. And the only tips I guess I can give you with regards to clusters is to give yourself a lot of things to play with. Save all your little scraps and have everything touching, and maybe don't have those straight edges. You know, we always want, if we're playing with paper, we want to get rid of those straight edges. We want those nice deckled edges. It's the same thing with fabric. You know, now I have a straight edge on the background, but almost everything else on there has been shredded a little bit with my trusty little seam ripper. You know, that's one of my favorite tools. That's a little bit of netting. I don't even know where that thing came from because I certainly didn't buy any blue netting. Maybe it came on a piece of clothing that I got from the thrift store. And you can, you know, pile your things together so you've got like all your light colors together. And then you might discover you have enough for 3 or 4 clusters in the same color there, and you're moving things back and forth. You know, it's just like anything else. It's just experimenting. And isn't that what art's all about? I mean, if we're doing it for the joy of making art, right? We're doing it for the joy of the process. Then we should just be experimenting and having fun. It shouldn't be take 2 pieces of lace and 1 thread and 1 piece of fabric and put them at right angles. There shouldn't be a formula, not for making a cluster, not for making any kind of art. Not if you're making the kind of art that's going to bring you joy, which is going to bring joy to the people that are going to be viewing your art or receiving your art as a gift, or they're going to be buying your art. There, that's the piece. It wasn't much of anything, just little pieces of square, well, rectangle, straight edges. And I tackle it first with the seam ripper, and I come back to it after I finish the blue one. But even just taking it with the seam ripper and then twisting it around a little bit makes it a little bit more interesting. Okay, it already looks better than it did. And wait till you see what it looks like at the end. I think it was a vast improvement. You can take a piece of lace and look at already that looks better, right? It's never done if you're not happy with it. And if you're not happy with it, maybe you are trying to be a little bit too constrained. Maybe you're trying to make it too perfect. Because nothing's perfect in art. You don't want perfect in art. Nothing's perfect in nature. Right? We want that experience of the surprise. We don't expect something to turn out a certain way. And that's what excites us when we see art. Okay, I'm working on that last one now. I'm going to fix that old one. Taking a piece of lace, tackling it with a seam ripper. It changes the look of the lace so much. Doesn't that look like it just got caught on some branches when you're running through the forest? I love that look. I love my seam ripper. Cracks me up. I never would have thought I would have loved that seam ripper. And it makes it so much more fun having the bigger one rather than the old little red handle ones that my mom and my grandmother had. So I guess today's message, if I'm going to give you one, is play. If you're not playing in your art, are you having fun? Because I had a blast today, even though I had a heck of a headache and my knees are in a lot of pain and I was kind of stressed thinking about the electrician coming. I had so much fun making these clusters that I'm sitting here tonight after I get this thing uploaded, and I'm laying out some more color families, and I'm going to be making some more, and we'll probably do clusters again next week in the live stream. If you have any cluster questions or art questions, let me know down in the comments so I know what kind of things I can address later on for you guys. I do like to make sure you're getting what you want out of taking the time to view my channel. I know your time is super valuable, and I appreciate it when you decide to spend some time with me. There's no way we can ever watch all the videos that we want to watch, right? And so we kind of have to pick and choose, and I understand that. I don't expect everybody to have enough time to be with me all the time. Look at this. Doesn't this look different? It looks so much better. It's looking so much better. Needs a little bit of cheesecloth. There we go. Tuck it under there. Get my needle and thread and get that thing sewn down because it is... Oh, twisting it just a little bit more. It is on its way to awesome. Now I can put these as they are. In fact, I was playing around with some of my Just Because books that I had nearby, and any one of these looked great on the cover of a Just Because book. So they were just like ready to go. And that's one of the reasons I like to have these ahead of time. Oh, I need a little bit of something brown. That was right. I forgot about that part. Because then I can just tuck it on a cover. If I'm making a card or a postcard for somebody, a cluster is a really nice thing just to, put either inside or I can attach it. They're great to put in journals because if I haven't added anything else to it, I haven't added a button or something to it, it's not too thick to get too bulky in a journal. So I think they're kind of universal, and I think everybody should have a stash of clusters to choose from. And that's me that's me professing my love for clusters. My tongue is a little tired today. It's been really talkative, but I'm happy. I'm happy with that one. Got a little close-up coming up for you on all three of these guys. Oh, decided there was a little bit too many straight edges still left there. Fraying it up a little bit more. And there we have it. I'm so happy with these. Thank you so much for joining me in the live stream if you were there. Thanks for watching the recap. Thanks for being in the Facebook group. I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye for now.